Hi, welcome to Hemingway Honeys. Today it is day, I don't know, I've lost count. Before we go and talk about anything else, we just want to make sure everyone's safe, healthy, careful during the Memorial Day weekend. So make sure to have your mask. You know, they're talking about how now surfaces aren't as big of a deal anymore with like contracting the virus, but still take necessary precautions.
There's a lot of unknown, and CDC is one to listen to. We just got our groceries and we wiped everything down.
We're still wiping everything
washing
down.
all the vegetables.
Yeah.
And it's always better to be safe than sorry.
Sorry, I agree.
I guess I'd rather spend my time with my family. I don't have to be in a hospital. So
Yeah, agreed. With time, we'll find out more about the virus, and as time goes on, we will, be able to ease up on, disinfecting everything as much as we have been, but still keeping your distance is really important right now. Be careful about the conspiracy theorists because we have a lot of those coming our way recently. Not to name any names. So today we wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about me growing up with a single mom, my mom raising me as a single parent. So it's going to be an open dialogue. This is not planned, so it's going to be a little choppy, but we hope that, our experiences will inspire, help you out. If you know a friend that's a single parent, or a younger person that's, in the middle of a divorce and what they're dealing with, hopefully we can inspire you to help them out and pay it forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's been a pleasure, as most of you know, my relationship with my son Aryan, and he's 29, but it's just always been great because no matter what we've been through, the respect always remained in our relationship. We've been through a lot of ups and downs, but we've always come ahead, and it's always been a great journey, and I felt there was a lot of growth.
And I think the growth came from negative and positive experiences from both ends. So I think, everyone's like, oh, you want to make as little mistakes as possible. And while, you strive for that, it's important to realize that it's okay to make mistakes and there's always room for growth. But I do think the relationship gets better, and grows because you guys are building trust, communicating with one another, whether you're a mom and a son, whether you're a daughter and a father, whatever relationship it is, it's super important. Trust doesn't, come with the snap of a finger. It requires time, it requires going through certain hurdles, and you kind of get to a place where like my mom and I are. But a lot of people may not understand the relationship because they may not gone through the same hurdles that we did, or they didn't reach out that support or that lending hand. It's super important you still do that anyways to strengthen the relationship. But for us, it always felt natural. So it wasn't as difficult to be supportive or be helpful. So we understand that every relationship is different.
Absolutely. I can tell you the biggest, number one thing that anyone can do in any relationship, and it doesn't have to be parents and their kids, but in any relationship, communication is the key, and also connection. I think Aryan and I had a lot of connection with him from the time that he was very little. We could talk about anything. Yes, there were challenges. I can't lie that when he went through teenage age time that everyone goes through, that Aryan didn't want to talk, and he
leave me alone,
lying sometimes, and it did take a lot of work for me because I had to do all the work that the mom does naturally, but also at the same time what the father does. So I think I had to really teach Aryan that in order for us to have a better relationship, he needed to communicate better with me and be honest. So if he did mess up, just come and talk to me about it. Yes, I will get mad, but it's okay because the consequences of, later on, if you wait for something, you tell someone, a year later, the trust is kind of broken, and why would you want that?
Yeah.
So I think that was some kind of a learning process that even Aryan had to go through. But
it's like the the few times it's like a lie is a lie is a lie is a lie. And I think I had to realize that for myself, and eventually it didn't really take a long time, but it got to the point where my mom is also very direct and upfront, and she wants relationships to last. So I think she has a big part to play in the fact that we stayed connected and we stayed so close. To each his own, but I do think it's really important from the parent side. My father and I had a different relationship in that sense. My dad really looked to me to make all the moves, and he didn't really want to reciprocate those things. And if it was reciprocated, it wasn't like as full and as direct as my mom was. So I related more to my mom, and I was comforted by that. So, I think it really is a big portion that comes from the parent in this case scenario, especially when you're a single parent and you're dealing with, divorce, and you're dealing with raising a child and you're working. There's so many elements at play, and no one's perfect, but it really does help when the parent has an open dialogue with the child. And I think from there, trust builds, and now, you go from childhood to adulthood and you kind of develop a friendship with your parent. And that doesn't always happen with a lot of people. So it's important to foster that relationship. And I know some of us are kind of like struggling to get along with our parents, especially right now in quarantine. It's a tough time. You're in each other's space, you're dealing with a lot of emotions, a lot of things are surfacing right now. So I think taking a step back and looking at what's important is vital right now. I know we all get caught up in working, and we stay stressed, and we stay worried, and we kind of lose sight, and time goes on, and we're like, well, I haven't talked to my sibling or my parent for this many years.
Yeah.
So as a single mom, how was it like? Because I know when you separated from dad, how old was I? I was like 8.
Yes.
But then you guys
First time.
and then you guys decided to like divorce when I was 11. Okay, so you got like a place for your own, and then you were raising me. So how was that?
It was very difficult. I mean, as far as the emotional side of the culture, of course, the family didn't feel that there should be a divorce. You have a child, and you're responsible, and you have to just make this work.
Stay with the kids. Stay for the kids.
Stay for the child. And I think between everyone in my family, I have to be honest that I'm just very different, because early on, even from back in high school, I always wanted to be independent and work and take care of myself. And I felt I wasn't really, not that I wanted his dad to take care of me, but I never felt that I have a mate, that there is someone else that I can count on, who's supportive, and he can help raise Ariane, that we can raise a child together that could be successful. There was a lot of missing links, and I felt I can do this on my own, because it really does go way back into when I was pregnant, that really Ariane's father didn't want kids to begin with. And I was happy to have Ariane. There was a lot of challenging time during my pregnancy and the birth, but this is something I wanted to do, and I'm just like grateful that I stick with it, with my own decision, even though it was hard. And yes, you went through really tough times.
Yeah. I mean, I think we both went through tough times, but I think the whole idea of staying with a person in a toxic relationship for the child is, in my opinion, much more complicated than divorcing. So watching you make the decision of being like, this doesn't work for me, was necessary. I needed to see that. I don't just get in a relationship but like, do I see any red flags that like you experienced?
Absolutely.
And to see that is,
and when you're young too.
When you're young too.
So 12 days after my high school graduation, I got married. So really 18 turning 19, that's just so long ago. And I was married to your father for 14 years. And I think I started really seeing the challenges 7 years into the marriage. And I struggled with that, and I tried to find other ways. And it really wasn't working. So I had to be honest, and I told my parents that this is it. I remember just had a bag and left everything that my parents had furnished in the house, and told her, oh, yeah, let's go. And we went and stayed with mom. But that was the first step into the biggest decision I made.
Yeah. How old were you?
When you were 7 years old.
Yeah.
So you really, the first time that I left, I was in my 20s. I was younger than you.
Wow. Already married, had a kid, separated.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even say that I've had a long enough relationship. But she's experienced everything. She's worked, she's gotten married, she's had a kid. She's done all the things that most people in our society look to do. That's like the goal is to have a family and own a house, and that's kind of like the American dream, or the white picket fence dream. But you have your own plans, and then God laughs at them, and you have a different path. Absolutely. So I feel like that happens with all of us. We think we're going one direction, but then we get tossed in another. Absolutely. And we have to cope with that. So,
no one in this lifetime. It's truly God's decision for any path or journeys. It's already written and how it's going to be. But I knew that I had to be out of that situation. And I'm glad when I look back into the young man that you have become, because I can tell everybody that this is not an easy thing as a parent, or for him to go through such, he did go through some trauma as well for the movement and starting new lifestyles and blended family for some that we will go into with the other sessions. But I also have messed up many times, and I think it's important as parents, when you do mess up, let your child know that I messed up, that I was wrong, and apologize. I think putting pride away is really important. So we don't have pride towards one another. We can pretty much talk about anything, and we've cried together, we've laughed together, and I think that's something to cherish.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it came from both sides. Yes. It wasn't just a one-sided thing. Because if it was one-sided, there's no chance it would have been as successful. Absolutely. And the relationship would have lasted this long. Absolutely. So with being a single mom, you have so many challenges and hurdles to also keep everything together, because you feel the pressure to keep everything together, to make sure I'm well taken care of, and no matter what you do as a parent, there will always be some cracks in the foundation. But at the same time, talking about you being independent from a young age, you kind of had that fire in you, and you could. And I think it's important to have that role model as a kid, and to see that. So you have like a hero, like everyone talk about in grade school having a hero. Say my mom's my hero. I
mean, definitely you're a gentleman, and you're just so kind and have a good heart. And I think the takeaway, I know you like it, right?
More.
So I think our takeaway should be, and that it's important not only for the child to respect the parent, because it is the key that kids need to understand. You need to honor your parents, and you need to respect them. And I try to live that in my life, that there's things have been said to me by my parents that I don't like. I can tell you, I don't like cussing, I don't like cursing. There's a lot of things that Arian knows. He's 29 years old. I don't watch TV with that kind of behavior.
We can't even, we tried watching Dead to Me, and every cuss word, my mom was like, wow, that mouth. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of expected.
So he knows by now, what are the things that I really
triggers.
Don't like. And he respects that, because he's here now during the quarantine. And if he wants to listen to it, he'd be in his room on his phone.
Yeah. Or she just deals with it.
Or, just because he's a guest right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's important also for parents to put themselves in the shoes, especially if you have teens, of their generation and what they're dealing with as well for their age group. What are some of the challenges? Picking up books, reading articles. And I think I did that with Anya when I was a teenager. How you talk to your kids so they listen, and how they listen when you talk. That was the title of the book. And I really learned the way to talk to him or approach him, that he would listen. It worked sometimes, but he was smarter than me. So a lot of times it didn't work. But I think it's important. The takeaway should be that relationships work both ways, and we all have to be patient. We all have to love one another, and understand that, especially now during this time that kids are home, we find ways to have joy in the house. As parents, cook, be involved. Right now is the best opportunity, I think, for all the family to get closer. And I hope and pray that you all enjoyed our session, and we will definitely, this is not going to be the one and only and the last session. We will be continuing mini series, and I hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you we're definitely going to get into a little bit more about getting remarried, but then also me going through kind of those teenage years and how that kind of impacted you, and kind of ultimately what I learned, and how our relationship got stronger from there. So we'll go into more about that.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.